Hey, Good News family, welcome to Now What, the podcast where we pull up a chair, talk through Sunday's message, and ask the question we're all thinking, now what? What do we do with what we just heard? And how do we actually live it out this week? So grab your coffee, your energy drink, whatever will keep you engaged, and let's figure it out together. Hey, Good News family, so glad to be back with you today. I'm actually trying to think of what the weather is today because we've gone from like
It's 15 right now.
we've gone from like a 20 below zero. By the time some people are listening to this, it's going to be like a balmy 85 degrees out, getting our first tan of the season. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Sarah and I have already discussed that we are pretty sure the sun will be strong enough on those 85 degree days that we could get some color.
The sun will come out.
Oh man, it's coming out tomorrow.
Rick and I don't tan.
Yeah, we're not going to tan.
You're not going to do that?
No.
It's like medicine to my soul.
I can't sit still.
I can't be outside.
You can't sit still. You can sit still. If you have a Bible or a book in front of you, you're done.
No, I have to move even then.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of movement, how's that hammy?
Getting better.
Getting better.
Yeah.
I think you said before we started recording, you made an accomplishment today.
Tied my shoe for the first time in 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, when you
It
get
hurt a
older,
lot.
it's the little things in life that you're
hurt a
like,
lot.
yes, you know.
So.
See, and we
Yeah.
also are cleaning our glasses. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
I've had glasses since I was 1 year old.
You told me that before,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel guilty when I complain.
Yeah,
I don't
you
have
should.
glasses on today.
Should.
But I've been wearing glasses
That's the goal.
consistently for several years now, and it drives me nuts. And I think about people who had to wear glasses since they were babies and think, stop complaining, Tana.
Now you know why I said I didn't recognize you without glasses.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, wore contacts for a while. I have contacts, but
Yeah,
in front of a computer, eyes dry out and stuff. So.
it's very true.
Yep.
In front of a phone as well.
Plus, there's the older thing, right? I don't know if you guys, these are trifocals.
So are mine.
I'd never heard of trifocals. They weren't like groundbreaking. I
Mine
just
call them
switch.
progressive. Like, so you have
Progressive are change the shape, like they become sunglasses.
no, not those.
Right.
That's a different word, but mine are called progressive lenses, where it's like a little less help far away, a little more help computer, a lot more help reading.
Oh, nice.
Which would normally, you would think that would add up to a trifocal.
Probably a Bennington thing down in Bellevue.
Oh my
We don't really
gosh.
have that.
Bougie Bennington, here we go. Let me stop for a second. This is Rick Milone who's with us today.
Hi, Rick.
Thank you, Rick, for being here today. You're gonna have to just butt in and start talking, you know? I wanted to call you Pastor Rick Milone, maybe retired, paused, sabbatical, long sabbatical, Pastor Rick Milone.
Are you bothered if people call you pastor?
No, Ms. Bibb calls me pastor every time I walk in the building.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
But 22 years. I figure I burned myself out in those 22 years. That I didn't take one sabbatical throughout the 22 years.
Yeah.
So I'm just building it all up right
There you go.
Yes.
in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, love it.
That's good.
Love it.
Okay, well, so tell us about you. Tell us about your family. I learned a couple things before we went live that I got it in
First,
my
could
pocket
you sing
to
a
ask
song
you about.
first?
I probably should not sing a song.
Okay.
Good.
But my wife and I have been here for about 6 years now. That was after we finished pastoring a church here in Omaha. We have 3 wonderful kids, Lucia, Tony, and Autumn. And they keep us busy with everything that they do all the time. I run Accepted Food Bank with my wife, and that has been our joy for the last 6 years as we continue to grow and feed kids in our Millard and Elkhorn schools.
Which I actually remember learning about your ministry, and I think one of the best clarifying details about this organization, because when you say I am doing a food bank for families in need in Millard and Elkhorn area, people go, nobody needs that in Millard and Elkhorn. And you have some amazing stats and things that you tell us.
We always say that hunger knows no zip code because it really doesn't matter. But we started this right after COVID, and so with OPS being out of commission and they weren't going to school, tons of families moved to Millard and Elkhorn and overextended themselves in a lot of ways, and so they needed help. And so we started it with just small, and then it's just grown each and every year. Actually, one of my favorite parts is I feel like the people that I'm serving a lot of times through our food bank are the same people that are at our church. We do a lot of kids that are English learners. We serve like 110 kids that are from all over the world at just some of our middle schools.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like touching the world through feeding. And it's just one of my favorite parts is that it's just like feeding my family here at church.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things about our church. So the fact that it stretches into Accepted Food Bank is beautiful. And then I even think about, I think it's usually Pastor Isaiah and the youth ministry. They have, is it regular scheduled times where they actually help?
Every second Wednesday of the month, they build our food bags for us. And so they're really good at it, which is the best part. We started out just building them all ourselves as a family, and my kids were super excited to have somebody else help.
I bet they were.
So it went from like, an 8-hour Sunday afternoon that we would build to the youth do it in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's really great. And I think the kids have really gotten into it where, they do race and all, which is fun for them.
Right.
But I think they understand that they're helping kids that are just like them. So that's pretty cool.
I agree. I really enjoy that I'm having you guys here today with the timing, because we're going to be shifting the way we format our Wednesday nights and start having a little bit more intentional group ministry on Wednesday nights. So you graciously said yes. And you and Pastor Greg are going to lead a group together starting on April 1st.
It's an a cappella group.
Yeah.
I got a vision of like Backstreet Boys or something. You're
No,
gonna,
I'm thinking barbershop.
Oh,
The full suits. With
okay.
Yeah.
Will you please show up April 1st?
Except for Rick. He's going to be the bad boy.
That's
Okay,
right.
yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, wait. Yeah, let's pause. You dropped some hints before we started recording about your experience in the music world. I need to understand some more of this.
So growing up, I loved music. I love all things Christian music. I've never worked in any industry that's not Christian. So
Okay.
Yeah.
whether it be I worked at a Christian bookstore, I worked for a Christian software company. When we started our church, we did this thing called non-traditional missionaries, which was we sponsored Christian bands that traveled the U.S. and we sent them money each month to help them
That's cool.
do their ministry. So I got a lot of friends in the industry, and so I love punk rock music. I love.
Okay, punk rock.
So
I need to see.
I had blonde hair at one point. I wore fake glasses. I wore more metal than you could imagine, whether it be bracelets or necklaces.
Oh my gosh, I really need to see some photos. Candace, I need you to send me some pictures, please.
More punk or more emo?
More punk. Okay. I was more punk.
What's the difference between
What
punk
would
and emo?
Christian punk be like? Is it just the different beat?
Well, it's going to be fast and
there's less angst. I imagine.
well,
Is there
it's-
successful Christian punk? Like, can you name some bands? Like, would we know them?
MXPX would probably be the most
Close.
successful.
Okay.
But like most Christian bands, as they got successful, they ditched the
Crossed
Christian.
over,
And
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but JCHC would probably be like a common thing. Jesus Christ hardcore. They would. It was always us against them. So instead of us versus the establishment, it would be Christians versus non-Christians.
Yeah.
So
I see.
Sort of like Striper being extreme
Stryper,
heavy
yeah.
metal. Okay.
nothing like some tight spandex to yellow spandex. I did not wear yellow spandex.
Thank the Lord.
Yes, thank the Lord.
Okay.
So
Did you meet Candace with that look?
Yes.
Okay. And
Actually-
was she like a little punk rock?
no, not
or
at
what?
all.
Okay.
Not at all. But she did think that I looked like Buddy Holly with my glasses. So
Okay.
that was probably
So that actually fits another version of punk then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Okay. I
Or
love
the-
this so much.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name of the guy. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know where you're going.
No, there's a guy, well known, but you wouldn't pick him out as punk, but it's hard to call him punk. too,
Yeah, I don't
but
know
he's
how to call
close.
Buddy Holly punk, but I'm like,
There's if I could think of the guy.
okay, I would agree.
Elvis Costello.
That's it. That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same glasses.
Yes.
It's not
But it's
that angsty, but there's something.
they're edgier.
raw,
They're
yeah.
cutting edge, or they're just
yeah,
edgier.
He's way more artistic and brilliant and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, well, circle back then. Tell me a little bit about your group that you guys are going to lead on Wednesday nights.
We have thought a ton about this.
I know you have.
We have worked so hard.
27 minutes in his office last week.
Yeah.
Nailed it all down.
Which for me is awesome.
I mean, that's the thing. I was,
Yeah.
when you and I had a conversation before you had met with Rick, was kind of basically like, I knew in my head, dude, you guys are both pastors. You love to study the Bible. just think about some things that people might want to learn about, and like bring it and have a discussion about it. You know, I think I told you, I picture, you know, you guys are, well, I used to picture studious. Now I'm not even sure what I picture anymore with that look. But, you know, you got the pipe and you're like, you know, philosophizing and talking about the deeper things in the Bible and life. You're going to take a little more hardcore punk aspect of that, but you have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I do almost none of that. Yeah.
You study and read. You don't read, you just have opinions about the Bible?
At this point, sort of. Yeah, it's something I'm trying to change in my daily schedule, or I'm aware that I want to cut out at least 30 minutes to just read, because I have a stack that I just haven't touched.
Yeah.
So, and currently, other than audiobooks, I have nothing that physically reading.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get
and
that.
Audiobooks are all fiction.
Okay, so the name of your group is
Hard questions.
Hard
The
Questions.
Whatever.
And what do you want people to know about the group?
About rocks, mostly. Hard.
Scoot up here, Mike. You're talking too quiet. Okay, you're going to be stubborn. Rick, what do you want people to know about this
I
group?
think we're gonna have a great discussion about, hey, what do you question, and what does the Bible say about that? And there's not going to necessarily be right or wrong answers. We're not going to tell you, hey, this is the one thing that you have to believe, but we're going to help guide them through the scripture and hopefully let them see all the different points of it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I once had a conversation with a kid. One of my sons, it's plural. Sorry, I'm saying words in my head. Friends.
We're already very
was
used to that.
deciding that he was atheist.
Okay.
And at this point, I'm not trying to argue with anybody. I'm just not that interested in it. But I just was curious and so I asked him what kind of brought you to that point. And so he starts telling me, and it's what a high school senior would say, who thinks they think. And that's ruder than I mean it.
No, but it's true.
We don't know that we don't until we meet people that do, I
Yes.
think, or at least read stuff and go, oh, wow, my whole world's been opened up, for good or bad. But and after hearing him, I just sat down and said, hey, well, let's talk. I'm not trying to evangelize you. I would just, if you're going to be one, let's see if we can make you a better atheist.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Because you got big holes in your atheism. So, and so I kind of, there's a bunch of ways that I think about those kind of things. So even on some of our questions, I'm blanking. I think week 1 is free will. Suffering. Oh, even better.
Allow suffering.
Yeah. So
You and
we're
I have
coming
been going
hot.
through it, so
Yeah, we're coming out hot. That's awesome. And people will have certain opinions, and I think a lot of these questions are more they pose as intellectual, and you can have intellectual conversations, but at core, almost everything is emotion. It is stuff we're dealing with and how it feels and things like that. So
I'm thinking ahead to, I might need to add a section in like your report that you kind of submit each week about what you talked about or how things are going, of like, we converted someone to, and whether that's atheism, Buddhist, just something. I have a feeling some things are going to be shifting in that group that I'm going to be like, oh, great. Okay, well, no, but I love it. I actually love, when, obviously with my job, I'm very passionate about people being in groups and in biblical community. And especially right now, people are having an experience of coming to the Lord for the first time in their lives, but then they're inundated with what they can access on social media and online. And there's preaching everywhere. There's philosophy and theology and attempts at explaining scripture that are just chaotic, just a mess. So then people are coming in here and they're hearing something we say, but they're balancing that against the things that they're watching and listening and scrolling and whatever and repeating and sharing and whatever, that, you know what? Let's just come sit around the table together. Let's sit in an office together or whatever and just talk and go to the scriptures and talk, and then use your life experience and each other's life experience to help go, does this take us back to this one God and creator of the universe, or does it not? And so I'm really excited for you guys to have that space to do that. I think a lot of people are going to want to be a part of it. So I thought we'll just get you here today and get you guys talking about the Bible.
I announced it on Sunday, by the way.
Or
The group.
Were doing a group.
So good. So I wanted to say too, if you guys are hearing us talk about the Wednesday night groups or even specifically their group, and you want to make sure, hey, I want to go to that, you can actually go to the website, and when you go on the website and look under groups, you can see their group, and there's a chance where you can actually click. It says request to join. It doesn't mean you're signing in blood to be a part of their group. It just lets them know that maybe you're interested, and then we can plan to see you on April 1st. So any of those, there's probably, I think there's about 10 groups, counting young adults and prayer, that are going to be happening starting the 1st. So you might want to go online and check those out under Wednesday night groups. But anyways, that's my homework for today. I want to know from you guys, before we jump into the message, what makes you love studying the Bible the way that you do? Or maybe you don't.
I think it's just, like I said, it's always been a part of my life, whether I grew up here and I did JBQ or then, of course, went to Bible college. I've always taken classes, I've always studied, but I think it's just the life-changing aspect of it. Like when you find something and when you get to teach on Sunday and you see someone's eyes light up because you see it's changing their lives, like they've never heard that about God or they didn't know that about God. I think that's the best part about it. So having those aspects to share with others is my favorite part of it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you miss pastoring?
Parts of it.
Okay.
I miss the parts I liked.
Okay, I think you said it before, but I'm like, I've lost it. Do you want to go back?
Sure, I would. If God called me back to it, I would do it again.
Okay.
Especially unless it's what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Would you be able to successfully pastor and not have to do the things that you didn't like before?
Yes. As at a small church, you do everything.
Okay.
So I always joke that I was, I wore everyone's hat.
Yeah.
So I think that now I would try and edge into the parts that I was good at, vision, not my specialty, but teaching the word or sharing the word.
Yeah.
Eating at potlucks, I'm really good at that.
You're really good at that.
Yes.
Okay.
I will always make sure at every table I ate a plate at that table. So 7-8 plates in, I was still going strong.
You make the little ladies feel so, he tried what I had in my crock.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
That was my favorite part of church is potlucks. I miss potlucks, that's for sure. But I think that in the end, it's just wherever God calls. I think I'd want to serve wherever He asks me to. That's why we're doing what we're doing now. And if He moved me into a church and said, "Hey, I want you to do that," I think I've also learned how to rest now.
Good.
Where I always joke that I set a record. I preached 160 Sundays in a row. I didn't take a break ever. So I've learned that my body needs that break now. So I think I'd probably be a little bit better now as I've matured.
Yeah.
I try to explain. I'm not a pastor and I don't preach every week, but I do. I'm in the inner circle of watching you guys prepare a message and things, and I talk about it often of the weightiness of what. It's not like you're just preparing to do a training or, I don't know, enlighten people on things, whatever. We're talking about people's understanding and engagement with their God. And there is a weightiness to that when you're speaking. And then you're looking at like a congregation like ours and trying to formulate something that communicates effectively with a vast array of listeners, and how the pressure of that week after week is extreme. So I can see that preaching 160 Sundays straight is not a wise thing to do.
It was not a good choice.
Because again, it's not like I'm just throwing out some stuff that it doesn't really matter, whatever, it's just fun. No, this is people's view of God. This is how they will engage with Him or hate Him or turn on the church or feel that they've been turned on by God, just basically by words you're communicating when you preach a message. So I don't ever do that again. Okay, good. Yeah.
I always laugh because when we go through books, that's how I would teach. And I'd spent 60 weeks in Luke.
Oh,
there you go.
Yes.
So over a full year we spent in Luke,
Yes.
just going little bit by little bit. And then we went right to Acts after that, which was another 9. So it was a year and a half.
Yeah.
So when we're this is our 10th week and I know you're getting sick of it. I'm like, oh, that's probably what they were thinking when I was doing this. And week 60, they're like, oh, thank you, Lord. So
Like, do we have to go to church today?
Yeah.
We'll catch up.
Rick's going to teach about these 3 verses today.
I
So
love it. But it is a really great way to study, and it's a really great way to learn the Bible, is to take our time. And what I love about the Bible is you can't ever outread it. So even you smarty pants people are still learning stuff. And then every time I read, I mean, even today, I'm in Leviticus right now because I started a reading plan a little at a different time. And just the commentary that came with it was like, just broadened my perspective. What?
Do you know who it's by, or is it just?
It's the Bible recap, Tara Lee Cobble. So I know people have different opinions about her.
Yeah.
What I do love about her is she'll say what I research and what scholars seem to think, and and then leave it up to me. Like,
There you go.
sometimes I'm like, I don't know, but
Right.
But there was a perspective she was talking about. It was yesterday or today about Leviticus, and just like, yes, it may get really mundane and tedious reading. Like, I'm like, why did you have to specify with every single level of animal sacrifice based on your economic status of what you could afford, the kidneys and the lobe of the liver and the fat and rinse out the intestines, and you literally clarified the details on every single one, and it just gets so tedious. You're like, oh my gosh, how many days in a row do I have to read about this? And she said to just pause and reflect that God is so holy, but yet so wants to be with his people, that he is willing to figure out a way that we could even be able to be with him. And that so actually celebrate the degree of all of the details that he went through for you, because he wants to be able to spend time with you, obviously before Jesus. And it was just an eye-opening way for me to change my perspective on why you making me read all this stuff and why'd you make people do that, to, oh, you are so holy, but yet so relational and wanted to be with your people that you're like, I'm gonna figure it out, and here's what you need to do. It doesn't make the expectation of what they had to do easier, but it gives it more purpose and meaning, I guess. So that was just a thing for me. Like, I had a change of heart towards Leviticus today, you know?
Nice.
So that's
doesn't happen often.
Doesn't happen often.
But it's a certain style of reading at different places in your walk. If you really do want to know, then you start doing things that create the ability to know. If you really wanted to learn about engines and you had the resources, you might buy an old car and walk yourself through how to rebuild this engine or work on the body of it and stuff. It's not something I want to do, but someone who has that intense interest and curiosity, they may go through that. Computers and things like that. I had a friend who, there's something called Strawberry Pi, doesn't matter. It's little hardware mixed with certain levels of software and stuff.
Okay.
It was kind of the transition before Echo and Siri and things like that. Those were just kicking out, that you could control certain things in your house with these devices. And so had a buddy who just got curious, and so that became his hobby, is just kind of solving these random things. And so I think that's a weird example to try and normalize what you're doing. Anyway, you are curious about something. You realize this thing is Leviticus is, without more information, Leviticus is very, very dry and seems to have no relevance to your current walk. And it's even hard to go to do what you said, Amy?
Tara Lee.
Don't know where I got Amy. Where Tara Lee is trying to say, well, here's a God perspective. Man, without that, it's even hard in Leviticus to see even a God perspective, other than it's ordained by God. And you assume this stuff's important because it makes no sense to us right now. But when you decide, okay, no, I'm going to read this, and you start reading and go, I still don't get it. And you decide, how can I do this? Well, I'm going to read it with a companion, with a commentary. Basically somebody who's done a bunch of study into this, and then they wrote notes. And so that's all a commentary is notes on the thing. So you can, some of it will be incredibly informational and helpful, and others of it, at certain points you go, I don't know if I totally buy into that. That's okay. The commentary isn't scripture. The commentary is opinions about the scripture. At every level, even if they're brilliant and well known and everything else. I love a guy named N.T. Wright and his stuff. Doesn't mean I've always agreed with every single thing.
Yep.
But I do assume that he knows more than me.
If I'm looking, I'm going to go to him first.
Right, absolutely. I'm not a huge fan of John Piper, but I'm never going to be like, I know more than John Piper.
Right. Right.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I just may disagree with certain, and I typically don't I disagree with conclusions because I disagree with presuppositions. But anyways, that's a different conversation.
He just went to big words. There's the resident theologian, big words. Well, okay, so let's stay in that vein because we started the series of Knockout, and you opened the series with the passage or the story of Jacob wrestling with God. First of all, my practical question is, who got the knockout in that story? God or Jacob? Oh, and did we decide, is it really God or was it an angel?
Jacob says he saw God and lived.
Yeah, that's right. So it is God. Yeah, I remember.
So the question then for me is, how does God show up? I thought this was only a Jesus thing and a few others. I begin with a great quote I've said and will continue to say. I can't remember who said it, but where Scripture is silent, let us have the wisdom to be silent as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we can't think, just means push away from absolute conclusions on these things.
Yeah.
Allow things to be mysterious. I don't know. I really don't.
Yep.
A man showed up and wrestled him.
Right.
That's weird.
And he walked away from it.
And we're supposed to feel weird about it.
Yeah. It's important enough that it made it in there. I mean, there's so many elements of it. Jacob's name is changed. I mean, we have so many different things to run through. I know, like, early on, you were explaining a little bit of Jacob's beginning and who he had always been, including, like, the meaning of his name. And you dropped the word covenant in there. And we cannot even do it justice. I realize that. But I wanted to know if you could, in a couple sentences, maybe tell us why covenant's important here, and maybe why it goes all the way important to us. Can you, in a couple sentences?
I
Why it should
think
matter.
why. Okay, so
I don't
a few
know,
questions
or what it
there.
is. I don't know.
Okay.
Could you read my brain? It's a pile of mush.
No, it's
Just
good.
tell me
Yeah,
something about
it's-
covenant.
I might, if I was trying to illustrate it, I might call it a mortgage, sort of. If it was a mortgage, the bank would be the powerful one. We would be the one. I would be the one asking for help, because really that's a loan.
Yep.
The bank says you can live in this place as long as you do this, which are the payments, and make sure you have insurance and make sure your taxes are up.
Yep.
So you could burn the place down. You still owe,
Yep.
and you still need to make tax payments and
Yep.
things like that, even if it's burnt down. And so those never change. And so I still have to fulfill my side of the things. So let's imagine then, and so we've got that. If I imagine that the bank was eternally good, which is impossible, which really is the key, is among the key things, is that when we're talking about God, we're talking about something I can't really conceive. I can add sort of illustrative words to it, but I still don't get it. But if this bank was really, really good and they're out for my best, there still is an agreement and a requirement on me. So maybe that helps.
Yes. You got anything to add to it?
Well, when we talk about covenant, we're in the Abrahamic covenant here. It's the one that he promised with him, where he, in essence, knocks Abraham out, and he goes through the halves of everything and says, okay, you want to be a part of it, but you really can't do anything. It's kind of the same as those Levitical laws. We can't really do any of it.
Yeah.
But he's saying, I'm going to make this covenant with you that you're still going to be a part of it, even though I know you're going to fail miserably. And that's really who Jacob is the guy that fails miserably throughout everything.
He makes the rest of us feel like, okay, if Jacob made it, I can
Yeah.
make it. Okay. So you talked about, and both of you can jump in, Jacob's name, meaning I've always learned it as deceiver. I didn't remember the part of it being heel grabber.
Supplanter.
That's where that word it comes from. Okay. I picture like a heel grabber. I picture that person like just trying to get what I've worked hard for just by like, right? That's him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what his name means. Do you guys think, like in the Bible, they always talk about Bible names, and they talk about names and meanings of names. Do you think that meanings of names influenced who they became?
Or were they named because of?
I don't know.
I think like all of my kids' names are specifically named. Like my daughter's name, Lucia Josephine, is God will increase light. Autumn is the harvest of heaven.
Okay.
Tony's is just family, so he's not as special, I guess, that way. But that baby dedication, that's why I used to research names. This is what your kid's name means. This is what you can expect out of them by what you named them. I think sometimes
So you do believe it. It
I
matters.
think sometimes it does influence you in ways that'll impact you that you don't know about.
Okay. Yeah.
Same as if people call you a pastor enough that you feel like a pastor eventually.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think?
There's some interesting research, and I can't remember if this was from Super Freakonomics or
What is
one of
this?
Malcolm Gladwell's books. Anyway,
Doesn't read, remember?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, Freakonomics. It sounds like a great book.
no, they are. They're a
But
lot
it
of
sounds very.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Whoever is doing it's microeconomics, where like the Steven something. Anyway,
Okay.
And that could be wrong because clearly I don't remember.
His name is Joe.
Billy. Anyway, for example, when he's a economics, he's working towards his PhD at economics at this point at University of Chicago, so one of the best in the world, and. He goes and lives on the streets with drug dealers, and well, they don't live on the street, but anyway, he gets into that, and so he's still a full-on nerd just out there, and so I don't know how he survived. But anyway, he's trying to understand the economics of drug dealing, and and the fundamental question of why so many drug dealers live at home. And it's because they're not making money on the street. It's the people that are higher up that are making money. So anyway, that's microeconomics. And so among the question, it might have been Gladwell, but that's a different thing. Anyway, it was seeing these different names that are being used. And so brothers, one was named Winner, and his dad named the other one Loser. Winner ended up in prison for the rest of his life. Loser was a captain of a police, was a captain in a police department, and went by Lou.
That's a good choice by him.
Right, right. And so that's just an example, but overall the research was pointing to very little effect of actual names on the outcome of someone's life. It seemed to be more the atmosphere in the home in which somebody would be named something like that.
Which then takes me to, thinking of what Rick named his daughters. I literally wrote here, Jacob's mom and dad called him a deceiver before he'd even done anything wrong.
They called him heel grabber.
They called him heel grabber. Okay, so is deceiver, where does...
It sounds like it.
Okay, it sounds like that name. It sounds like that word.
And if somebody's going to start picking on you,
I
they might
see.
use that. I don't know.
I see. Okay. So I think so too. It's kind of that influence in the home, and even like what they believe over you.
And what I just did is an example of commentary, but I also went off book, and I'm saying, what if? I'm not saying that's how he got to that.
Great point.
I'm
Yes.
saying,
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, you talked about in Genesis 27:20 when Jacob was tricking his father Isaac. His dad said, "How did you find the food so quickly, my son?" And Jacob responded, "The Lord your God put it in my path." You mentioned that was important, and I wanted to know what your thought about it. Don't worry, these aren't going to all be directed at Pastor Greg, but he mentioned two of them in the message. I'm like, ooh, I want to grab these really quick.
I think it's important. It's one of those kind of one-offs that does fit probably here more than out there than doing on a sermon, because I think it's the track of Jacob's life from, if we step back and look at how he went, and he isn't interested in Yahweh. He's almost, it wouldn't be far off to say he's an angsty, rebellious kid, just not burly and everything else. He's this cerebral, I don't know. Let's go with punk, Rick.
I literally was just going to say, let's go with the bleached blonde hair, metal everywhere,
Yeah.
glasses punk guy. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he's the favorite of his mom, who is a sister to Laban, who, as you read this story, Laban's a schemer and a manipulator, and Jacob sort of goes to head with him on scheming and manipulating, and so he's taught well by people who are good at it. And taught well doesn't mean it was taught about good, but,
Right.
But you're also raised in an environment where you know the story of what happened to your dad. I mean, what if one of the testimonies your dad tells is that, and maybe he does it through a little PTSD, I don't know. So, I never tried to murder you, would be maybe the argument in the tent. I don't know. Again, I'm just riffing out that.
Yeah. Well, even the wording, like, the Lord your God put it in my path,
Yes,
I read
yes.
that as a smart mouth.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
the Lord your God put it in my path
And I see it
while
as,
I'm in the midst of deceiving you.
this is your God. I'm doing what you want me to do, what you think is the right way to do it, but I haven't attached myself to it. And I think I mentioned it maybe in first, but I don't remember. But later on his way up north, after he's running from Esau initially, he has this vision from God while he's sleeping, and God says, "Hey, I'm going to take care of you. Everything's going to be okay." And Jacob's response is essentially, "Well, if you do, then we'll see."
Yeah.
And so there's not a strong interest in a life with God, or a life of being faithful or loyal to God, or even real understanding of the significance of the covenant that Rick was talking about.
So what tone or maybe attitude behind the next words where he says, Isaac confirmed one more time before giving him the inheritance, "But are you really my son Esau?" And Jacob said, "Yes, I am." And you said that the Hebrew used there is the same as Yahweh, I am. Like, why does this matter? Why is he doing this? It's, again, speculation, but it's...
Do you have any opinion or thoughts?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, I think as we look, it's the same as like for us when we grew up in the church a lot of times, right? We relate to God through our parents or through our teachers. It's not always ours personally. I don't think he's made it personal yet. It hasn't been personal. So he is just going by what he's heard, and he's repeating what he's heard
Nice.
as he's doing it. And so I think it's a lot of repetition for him. This is what Dad would say, so I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's
Great.
good. So he gets this blessing. This is where his life is starting to unfold for us, and he gets this blessing by lying about who he really is. How, when you read this story, Rick, how does this story matter to me today?
Well, I think that's oftentimes how we try and get our own blessings, is we try and please God by pretending to be something that oftentimes we're not.
Yeah.
We're holier than we think we are, or we try and do what's right, and we really can't. And so I think a lot of times that's when I look at this and I look at Jacob, I see myself in it, that I tried to please God through my own fighting and striving.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I finally got to the end of my rope and said, okay, I can't really do anything right, God. I just need you to do it, that I finally realized who God was and how he could affect my life. So
Yeah.
I think Jacob's at the same point right now. He's fighting to make himself good enough, and he really can't.
That's great. You're a few years younger than me, but we still ministerially grew up under the same impression from afar. And see if you agree, I'm assuming. Anyway, you mentioned vision as far as, well, I'm not good at vision, but what was presented to us is that that's what lead pastors do, is you're almost a bad lead pastor if you don't have this magnificent vision and a fully fleshed out version of the plan. It wasn't about people. It was about, it's sort of the super easy one. It's about the size of your church. Yeah. But even when it wasn't about the size of your church, even if you got past that, I still had it stuck in my head that I wasn't good at this because I wasn't the visionary. And bluntly, I was pretty good at it. But I'm also not that type of visionary. I'm very creative. So is Rick. I'm not, but neither of us are necessarily musically creative, and I'm not visually, I'm not going to paint you a picture, but I can give you an idea and break it out and riff off that. And so we have these certain ideas about what we're supposed to do. And if we imagine that God wants something, not know what the scripture is actually teaching about what he wants, then I agree. I love that point of view on what Isaac's doing here, what Jacob's rather countering.
So fast forward a little bit, I wrote Jake in my notes. Jacob, eventually he's left alone all night before he's going to have to go back to Esau and like face his brother, who he stole his inheritance from. And you talked about him being left alone, and it finally leaves room for the encounter for him to have with God, because we, fill up every space in our lives. It's I would argue a lot of times it's maybe, what's the word? Not unintentional, but unconsciously fill it up so that we don't have to have alone time with God, but he has this encounter. He's only been known as this trickster, a heel grabber, and he has this wrestling match. And I want to know, like, how you Bible nerds, like, how do you read this story, and your guys, like the wrestling match and what's happening in this and what's being said, like what stands out to you in this story? What do you like? And not even always just the most spiritual parts, just like what draws you in. All of it.
Well, the wrestling would not. When
okay.
he's like, I grew up with Hulk Hogan and things like that. So in my mind, that's what I was always thinking as a kid. I don't think that anymore now. But rolling around in the dirt,
and a man shows up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's just have some fun and roll around in the dirt together. If that's what you're expecting Wednesday night in our group, it's not going to happen. You want to see Pastor Greg and I just rolling around on the floor.
We have that grass patch right outside that the kids usually use on Wednesday nights. Y'all can have it. Let's put a ring up. Yep.
So I think as I look at it and I see that I'm not really drawn to that, but I'm drawn to the bottom of where he's at right now, where he's still fighting even when he's got nothing left, even when he loses, and he's just still holding on for dear life. I think that's where I really relate to, because I feel like that's how we live life a lot of times, is we just are holding on to a scrap. Sometimes, Pastor Greg had his injury. I injured myself like a week later. We're on the same schedule, evidently. And
we'll celebrate when you can.
We're all damaged people, man.
So I think that I just feel like that's how I'm like right now. I feel like everything's going wrong. I'm just holding on for dear life for God to pull me through this season or this aspect of our life. And as a new believer, that's really where we're all at, right? We have to get to the bottom. I remember, I grew up here at Good News, and my salvation story, most people would think would be pretty bland, but I remember laying on my bed by myself, all alone, just crying out and saying, God, I can't do anymore, and I'm done. Either take my life or do something better. And he did. So I think truly that's where Jacob's at. He's just at the bottom of his barrel. And I love to see that, because that's when God can really move.
Yeah.
Is that what motivated him to keep wrestling all night? That's how I picture it. I picture like, I have nothing else left to lose, and I will fight with you until I feel like I've gotten some kind of breakthrough.
Yeah, he wants to win, right?
Yeah.
Like he knows he's going to death in his mind, right? Esau's going to kill me when he sees me. So I'm going to go out with at least a win here at the end. I'm going to beat this guy at whatever we're doing here.
Yeah.
He does not, though.
Yeah. What about the significance in his hip injury or the limp? I know you said some things to me offline about that. What stands out to you?
Yeah, like that's in essence, he's going to limp for the rest of his life. Everyone's going to know about it and know that he wrestled with this guy. He's going to have hey, what happened to you? Oh, let me tell you the story about wrestling this guy. But then on top of it, like it says that, even for Israel, they never ate that part of the meat again, right? It was something that everybody knew about forever. And that's his testimony. That's his testimony, just like we try and hide our testimony, so that he couldn't hide his. It was out for everybody to see. He's limping up on stage like Pastor Greg was on Sunday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It is interesting timing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe you wrestled with God. It wasn't a snowblower.
Yeah.
Maybe it was an angel of God, or it was God himself that you wrestled.
Yeah, exactly.
Not likely.
No. Not for me anyway, the way I think.
What do you have? Any thoughts about the hip and what's significant about it?
I think they are great opportunities for preachers, which I don't want to take away from. I think, but they're also opportunities to see, unique things. I think, and so I form them in my head as. So it would be wrestling. In general, there's a fight. And I'm not trying to preach, I'm just trying to think. And so, okay, does that fit in a lot of life? Okay, yeah, I definitely see that. Can I take it too far where you get a flat tire and no, I'm in the fight? Calm down. You probably should have checked your tread, or
Right.
you ran over a nail.
Right.
The devil's not getting you down. Doesn't have to be getting you down. And so I say it like he's not. Even if he is, so that's what he picked. Come on, you can handle this hardship. If you want to call it wrestling, I hope you never have to really wrestle, because you may not be strong enough to handle it. But I think there are things that I'm not automatically going to humble myself. I'm assuming everybody else is that way. Even when I think I'm humble, I'm then confidently convinced that I'm humble. And I find that the challenges often reveal way more about things, about myself, and about what's going on and what is in reality and stuff, than the benefits do. Give me the benefits. I want that. I don't like hard things, but I do hard things. Let's go do hard things, because real stuff comes. I don't want to fill bags for 8 hours, but let's do that, because there's a different purpose. You see something different, and in that you find yourself learning that, and your kids had to learn that, yeah, this is boring, this blows, but we're still doing it. Even if they don't even if they're not emotionally capable or intellectually capable at that age to understand that other people have needs that they don't, that they're privileged to a degree that they don't have to have someone give them a bag of food.
Yeah.
They still then are learning the value of work, but the discomfort in work. And I don't mean that as a negative. I mean that as we learn endurance. We learn, and from the beginning, this was one of the things. We were given the earth to work on, to do something. And so we weren't just planned to sit on clouds and play harps and all the silly kind of imagery. And so I think there's the hard thing. And then when it comes to the hip, I do lean it more toward, I don't like this term, but the fallen nature kind of stuff, that we will be, many of us have been and will be injured. That injury can either have purpose or not. You may not know it has purpose for a while, but I'm telling you, you can find purpose in these things. And it's one of the best ways that when we talk about suffering, to me, and in our group, that's one of the things, is we are the ones, in my opinion, who assign the meaning to these things. To put that outside of us is to leave it completely up to fate or whatever. That makes no sense to me. So we get to decide. Terrible things happen. We get to decide whether that's going to make us better or worse, or have no effect. Or we can blow it off. We can run from it. We can do all these different things that Jacob seems to have done. But here we are, face to face with God, and He's saying, "Who are you?"
Yeah. And you said it towards the end of first service. You said your story becomes impressive when it becomes your testimony. And it's not about you, it's about God. And you said we can take those moments and, whatever, take them as nothing, or we can actually recognize them for what they are, and that they can be your testimony, not just some story about, oh man, this is my life and this is what I've been through, and this is I wrestled through this and wrestled that. I got a flat tire here. Or are we building our history with God and letting other people in to see God through that, and not us?
Well, the flip kingdom that they talk about is also a flip testimony. It's in many societies, or even now, it would be, hey, where did you go to school? What is your professional background? What kind of things? It's your resume, right? And my resume before God is, I was nothing. I come from nothing. Jesus' resume is, I was born in a stable, and to ridiculously poor people that back to Leviticus, we know they're poor because of the type of offering.
Just talked about it this morning. Yes.
So, yeah. And so it's an entire flip. It's what we profess as, here's my qualifications.
Yeah.
You call us book readers or scholar or whatever. Both of us know we're not. And the reason is because we know people who are. Would you agree with that? Yeah. And so my current
I'm not like
is,
calling you NT Wright or anything.
no,
Like, you're my
I'm just saying
closest thing to
is
a
that it's
resident
stuff
scholar.
you can get, like you can, for years it was my identity. And I can't say it's not anymore, but I've become clear that, my version is I'm not dumb, but I know people that are, good Lord, but I'm also really good at things that they're not. So anyway, this flip thing is a complete flip in testimony. So Jacob's story then is, I wrestled with the guy. Really, an angel? No, that's not the thing.
It's not the point.
No, it was God, and I'm still alive. But man, that shook me, and now I understand. The God I was saying, we'll see. I'm going, no, I'm all in. It's a different thing.
And God changes his name at that point.
Yeah.
And Rick, you and I talked a little bit offline. Just what was Jacob's name changed to? What does it mean? Why is that significant?
So it went from, in essence, supplanter or deceiver, but he goes and God fights for me. And so it went from him having to do everything himself to where, in essence, God did it all for him, which is where we all end up in some point where God has to do it all for us. So it's a complete 180 for him where he no longer has to fight and strive. If you look at his whole life where he fought for the birthright, he fought for the blessing, he fought for his flocks, he fought for his wives, he fought for everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
And no longer does he have to do that. God's going to do it for him. So.
That makes me teary thinking about it. Like how much we fight on our own until we know God to be who he is.
Yeah.
And then let him do the fighting for you and trust him, which me saying trust him takes me to the next piece, because he has this wrestle. His name is changed. The very next day, he might know his name is new, but I don't know that he trusts that God is going to live out that new name through him. Because what does he do?
He goes, he meets with Esau. Esau is like, hey, come and hang out with me at home. And he's like, yeah, we'll follow behind you. And then he goes completely a different direction. Yes. And then he doesn't even go where God tells him to go. He goes completely to a different place there too. So he's still trying to do it on his own, even though God said you don't have to anymore. So so many times we fall into that where we don't, we have our testimony, we have our revelation of who God is, we become a believer, and then we fall back into those old habits because they're just always there. Yeah. So and it affects his life, right? He goes to Shechem then, and life falls apart for the boys, So I think that as much as he wanted to be that, he still has to learn to be that, which is what our whole life is, right? Greg is a little older than me, thankfully, and but
he's even older than me.
Yeah, we were talking, and it's just that after all these years, I find that the older I get, the less I know. Yeah. I think I've got it all. No, I got less in my pocket than I ever did before, but I just keep having to trust and go through it. But I am slowly getting better. Yeah. And that's where I think we all have to be. No one's going to, I think so, as a believer, as a young person, when I became a believer, it's all going to be easy. I'm going to know it all. God's going to work it all out for me perfectly. And then I realized it doesn't work that way at all. So,
yeah.
You also then see a qualitative difference in the kids that are born at different times, where you've got the first group of kids that they have who all struggle. And then you have Joseph and Benjamin, who seem to be different types of people. And so they're raised. I mean, you see that in church where you have a bigger family, but at some point in the families, in the couple of life, they become followers of Jesus. And the kids before are all struggling. The kids after kind of have it together because the parents got their stuff together.
I even see it in us, in families who've been following Jesus. Absolutely. And just revelation of revelation. I've said it so many times on here. My daughter got a different set of parents than the boys did.
Absolutely.
That breaks my heart. My hope is that what she sees is that same grace of journey that we as all humanity goes through, and she and her husband are going to be wrestling out those same things with the Lord while her children are growing, but that is what life is. That is humanity, and that is thank the Lord, the grace and kindness that he gives us, that he doesn't quit on us, and he keeps giving us the opportunity to like, wait a minute, who did I say that you are? Who am I? And are you not mine? And am I not trustworthy? And do you not know? Like I told you, my hot button the last year or so has been his steadfast love. The steadfastness of his love is so invigorating and motivating to like keep marching forward, keep wrestling. And that, I love that the story is about Jacob wrestling, because my personality is a wrestler. Like, I want to know, prove to me why, prove to me you will. I'm not sure if I trust you. And ask Nate, the poor man. You know, we've been married for almost 29 years now, and it's still like, are you really staying? Are you going to stay? Like, because that's my history. So I have to wrestle out again. Wait a minute. Who did God say he is? And what did he ordain for us? And, you know, who are we because of him? And all of those kinds of things that.
And if we were doing therapy, we might look into why do you think you shouldn't? And right.
I don't want to answer that question.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
though?
do.
It's not about him. It's about you don't think he should.
Yeah.
You don't like you, and I'm not prophesying I'm saying
don't you therapy me right here.
But we can get into that,
But
and
that
we
has
actually
been much
struggle
of the
this
wrestle.
with God. I don't deserve this and stuff. Oh, you still think it's about you. God, from God's point of view, it's about you. But from your point of view, if it's any form about you, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle needlessly.
Yeah.
So you think you don't deserve it. Weirdly, that's a selfish point of view.
Well, and that the covenant is not made. It's Nate's agreeing to what God has called him to do. It, you know, like the sidebar is that he's made a commitment to me, but ultimately he's made a commitment to God, before God, for this family. You know, so even, you know, I've talked to several people in different husbands and wives scenarios, and well, ultimately, no matter what, the covenant I've made is before God. So that is what his opinion is what matters, and he is why I can fight to stay, or you know, whatever, because none of us are worthy of anything. What do you got? I hear you thinking something.
I don't disagree on the surface with that.
I don't want to go down there today.
To be dismissive of a really beautiful thing. I feel like it's at least the way I hear it, it's making something beautiful ugly. I don't deserve it. I'm a worm. I'm nothing. Look, God is big enough for you to be okay.
Yeah.
For you not to be garbage. He wouldn't have done this if you were garbage. He didn't come into covenant with earthworms. He came into covenant with the pinnacle of creation. On day 6, he creates this out of just almost a celebration, and then sits down and says, this temple is finished, you know. So am I worthy? No. But grace is not grace is beautiful.
Agreed.
It's not just it's the feet washing of all the garbage off of the disciples' feet, but it's also it's how much honor that is being passed on, that I serve in an honor way. And so for some reason, this should be humbling, because for some reason, the great God is serving us. That, if you get it, that should make you uncomfortable.
100%.
But don't diminish, don't take that, leave that there, let it be uncomfortable so that it can have some positive impact.
Yeah, that's good. How would you, for sake of time, there's so many different things, especially with you guys, that we could run through, and even just thinking about the way PG closed the message on Sunday. He talked about, and you actually, I don't remember if you said it on camera or before, but you talked about wearing different hats. And one of the things Pastor Greg said was, we wear different names depending on the room we walk into. And at work, we're one person. At church, we're another. On social media, we might be another. And just thinking about that, and the tension of that God doesn't want to bless the version of us that's performing or trying to be something. He wants to bless the real us. And I think I think even with Jacob, reminding us of the real us that you even just said, the one that I celebrated on day 7 because you are perfect. You are it. I'm going to actually breathe my life into you. So what do you want? What if you have an opportunity to talk to somebody who's heard this message, what do you want them to hear? What is maybe a question you want them to wrestle?
I think for me, when I heard it and I listened to it and I sat down and I was like, wow, I find myself even wrestling today, and I don't always, I was listening to him, give you counseling sessions there, and I was thinking how much that applied to me as well. I was like, oh, I'm going to go lay down on Greg's couch in his office coming up here. But I thought that, I need to believe those things about myself too, that I have to stop thinking negatively about myself, or if there is a struggle or there is a wrestle that it's because I've failed or I'm miserable. Sometimes it's just, he's just defining me a little bit farther. He's pushing me farther into where I am. And so if you are struggling or you're going through, I want you to think through, well, why am I struggling with this? And where is God wanting to take me? Because that's always where he wants to take you. Yeah. He's never going to wrestle with you and then just leave you lying on the ground. He always wants to take you somewhere else and take you somewhere better. So
nice.
So good. What you?
Quick response, agreement with that is I find the more you can calm down, the better thoughts you have, and come back to the basics. Who are we talking about? We're talking about God. What do I know about him? If you know nothing, I can tell you he's good. And if you need to, and most of us need to pause probably right there and think, okay, what do I mean by good? What is the Bible saying by good? And I'm not asking you to be a super theologian or analyst or anything else. What do you dream about good? What is if somebody is really good? Do you remember driving in a car with one of your parents? If it's a dad or a mom, and you were 4 or 5 or enough to be maybe aware, and it's dark, and did you ever wonder, oh, maybe I shouldn't go to sleep right now? But instead you just dozed off as a kid. This means fundamentally, even without thought, not an intellectual thing, you trusted deeply. Almost, not even, like I said, not a thought. You trusted fundamentally in the one who is taking care of you. This is God. And now we're having to, as you become teenagers, then you start questioning these things and you see little flaws and maybe I can't trust you and stuff like that. Okay, but you understand this is similar to the exact same thing you've always had. Yeah. There's no major difference. The metaphor still works. And so the thing I do want to mention is that is impactful for me is have you guys heard of Royal Family Kids Camp?
Sure.
Okay. It's a camp similar to track, but for younger kids. And so it specifically reaches out to, this is hard, very, very misused foster kids. And my wife was a social worker for a couple of years at one of the camps. And we learned pretty quickly, oh, you can't tell me those stories. I want to be able to function today. So, but at that camp, and I might have said it one of these podcasts before, but at that camp, I went one time, and they were they had all the kids together, and they were singing a song which they sang every day, and it was something close to "He Knows My Name." And it was within the song. It was the idea that regardless of what was implied was regardless of what's gone on so far, God knows your name. He doesn't just know Greg, but that he has a name that is yours. And that even if this isn't the meaning of all the Jacob story and everything else, among the things I can walk away with is God has a plan that is different than what I've experienced, or at least buying into the good that I've experienced. It's a reminder of the good. It's the confidence of something better. It's a plan. It's a purpose that I don't need to know the reason for every single thing that I've gone through. Even when we talk about suffering as a group, I don't have an answer for every thing that happened, but I do really fundamentally know a really good God who has a different view of me, my history, and my future in light of everything than I can understand. So when I get excited about books like Job and Ecclesiastes and some that seem down, it's because they're answering fundamental things. They're allowing for space in uncomfortable things. It's that there is this good God, and add this in, who does know my name. And if my name is messed up so far, that he's able to rename.
So good. A couple of things you said as you were wrapping up the service is you said, God is faithful even when we aren't. We have to humble ourselves and learn to trust God so that we can stop pretending to be someone we aren't and let God do what he does to heal and change us and bless us. And you said, you talked a little bit about identity, and you said, you talked about some things about making space for silence, and with Jacob having that night where he was alone and wrestling. And so one of my takeaways was making space maybe for silence this week, like try it so that God has room to speak to you, which is hard because whenever I try to make room for silence, my brain is going a million miles an hour and I'm trying to get that to turn off. So figure out what you need to do to create that space, and don't give up the first time. If you just can't get it to shut up, just try again, but make space. Holy Spirit can be speaking even when it's not fully silent. And then maybe identify a place in your life where you tend to perform, whether it's work, church, family, maybe your presence online, and take one step toward honesty there. And really, the only way we can do that is if we make the space to understand how God sees us. And like you said, God knows your name, even if I'm not, quote unquote, living up to my name. Even if my name has come to mean something that he never wanted it to, and he has a new name for you. It doesn't mean legally you have to go change your name, but what it means is how you identify, how you know who you are because of him. So don't just listen to this message this week, guys, and just like, oh, that was a nice one. Like, sit back, even like what we both got therapied a little bit today. Even Pastor Greg went to some deep places today. That's because God has something to say to us through this wrestle in the Bible, this knockout story as part of our series. So don't take it lightly. Let's actually take space. Turn the podcast off now and be quiet for a little while and leave space for God to speak. Thank you guys so much, very much for being here. It was really fun. I'm going to have you back. And I'm excited for your group Wednesday night starting April 1st. Listeners, I hope you enjoy the freezing cold and the really hot, all within a span of a few days. Our weather in Nebraska is crazy, but have a wonderful week, and we will chat again next time.